In the lecture of introduction of cell, actually we will discuss on basic concept of cell and cell theory. So let's see the topics we will discuss in this lecture. It will be the cell biology, about cell and its characteristics, discovery of cell, and finally cell theory. At first, we need to know about what is the cell biology. Cell biology is the study of cell structure and function, and it revolves around the concept that the cell is the fundamental unit of life. And actually, in the world, the organism we are seeing is composed of different types of cell. Out of them, in here is shown the bacterial cell, and another is plant cell, and another symbol of a human being. So the organism we are seeing in this world all are composed of the cell, and for this it is called that the cell is the main basic structural and functional unit of the organism. So now what is cell? A cell is the smallest unit that is typically considered alive and is a fundamental unit of life. The human body is the composed of trillions of cells. Humans are multicellular organism. The human body is composed of trillions of cells. Humans are multicellular organism because the human being is composed of a trillion number of cells. Beside this, in a bacterial cell that is unicellular because it composed of only a single cell. Now we will discuss about the characteristics of cell. Cell is the basic structural building blocks of living things. All living things are composed of cells. Based on their complexity, two types of cells can be distinguished. One is prokaryotic cell and another is eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells are simpler than eukaryotic cells. The main difference is that prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus and their DNA is not enclosed in a nuclear membrane, separating them from the cytoplasm. The cell contains genetic information stored in the form of DNA, that means deoxyribonucleic acid. The cells are separated from their environment by a plasmatic membrane, which at the same time allows to them to communicate with the outside world. The cell can synthesize proteins through ribosome. We know that in ribosome protein is produced or synthesized. They have a functional metabolism. They have organelles suspended in aqueous medium. The inside the cell is a aqueous medium. There is a lot of organelles are found that will be discussed in different lecture. They are the building blocks from which various organisms are produced. From the cells, the tissue is formed, and after the tissue to the organ, and after the composing of organ, the organ system is produced. Now we will discuss about the discovery of cells. Actually, who coined the term cell and how did he discover it? The Robert Hooke. When we will discuss about the discovery of the cell, at first will come in mind the Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke discovered the cell in 1665. Robert Hooke observed a piece of betel cork under a compound microscope and noticed minuscule structure that reminded him of small rooms. Consequently, he named these rooms as cell. And after that is Anthony von Leeuwenhoek. Later, Anton van Leeuwenhoek observed cells under another compound microscope with higher magnification. This time, he had noted that the cells exhibited some form of movement, that is, motility. As a result, Leeuwenhoek concluded that these microscopic entities were alive, and eventually, after a host of other observations, these entities were named as animalcules. Next, the Robert Brown. In 1883, Robert Brown, a Scottish botanist, provided the very first insights into the cell structure. He was able to describe the nucleus present in the cells of organisms. Next, we will discuss about the cell theory. Cell theory, the fundamental scientific theory of biology, according to which cells are held to be the basic units of cell living tissue. Means the cell theory says the cells are the basic units of all living tissues. The formulation of the cell theory, how the cell theory has been formulated. In 1838, Theodore Schumann and Matthew Jacob were enjoying after dinner coffee and talking about their studies on cell. They are friends. They are discussing about their research. It has been suggested that when Sean heard Matthews describe plant cells with nuclei, he was struck by the similarity of these plant cells to animal cells he had observed on tissues. The two scientists went immediately to Sean's lab to look at his slides and summarize. The two scientists went immediately to Sean's lab to look at his slides and summarize Sean his observation. The three important points of the modified cell theory, the cell theory that describes mainly this important thing, that is one point, the cell is the basic functional and structural unit of living organism. The second point, all living organisms are made up of cells. And the third point, all cells arises from pre-existing cells. That is the cell theory, the primary level. After the research of different scientists, a modern cell theory has been formed. And what is saying by modern cell theory? All organisms are made of one or more cells. Cells are the basic unit of a structure in all living things. New cells arises from existing cells through cellular division. All energy flow occurs within the cell. Cells contain genetic material passed to daughter cell during cell division. All cells are similar in their chemical composition. Activities of organisms are a result of combined action of individual cells. So now we will discuss about the history of cell biology timeline. In this timeline, the 1595 they started. Janssen is credited with the first compound microscope. In 1655, Hooke described cells in cork. In 1674, Leeuwenhoek discovered protozoa. He saw bacteria some 9 years later. In 1833, Brown described the cell nucleus in cells of the orchid. In 1838, Schlodian and Schwann proposed cell theory. In 1840, Albrecht von realized that sperm cells and egg cells are also cells. In 1856, N. Pringsheim observed how a sperm cell penetrated an egg cell. In 1858, Rudolf Virchow, a physician, pathologist, and anthropologist, expounds his famous conclusion: omnicellula, a cellula, that is, cells develop only from existing cells. Cells come from pre-existing cells is proved by actually him. In 1857, Kolliker described mitochondria. In 1879, Fleming described chromosome behavior during mitosis. In 1883, germ cells are haploid, chromosome theory of heredity. In 1898, Golgi described the Golgi apparatus. In 1938, Barnes used differential centrifugation to separate nuclei from cytoplasm. In 1939, Siemens produced the first commercial transmission electron microscope. In 1952, Guy and co-workers established a continuous human cell line. In 1955, Eagle systematically defined the nutritional needs of animal cell in culture. In 1957, Michelson, Stahl, and Vinograd developed density gradient centrifugation in cesium chloride solutions for separating nucleic acid. In 1965, Ham introduced a defined serum-free medium. Cambridge's instruments produced the first commercial scanning electron microscope. In 1976, Setu and colleagues published papers showing that different cell lines require different mixtures of hormones and growth factors in serum-free media. In 1981, transgenic mice and fruit flies are produced. Mouse embryonic stem cell line established. In 1995, Tyson identifies a mutant of GFP with enhanced spectral properties. In 1998, mice are cloned from stomatic cells. In 1999, Hamilton and Bolcombe discovered siRNA as a part of post-transcriptional gene silencing in plants. In 2006, factors required to create induced pluripotent stem cells are identified, allowing stem cells to be created from differentiated cells. In 2009, single cell sequencing makes its debut, allowing insight into transcriptomatics at the resolution of individual cells. In 2009, also, first paper published using organoids derived from a single adult stem cell. And 2012, CRISPR gene editing is developed, allowing precise RNA targeted genome engineering. And it is the end of the first lecture and go through for the next lecture. To prepare of this course, actually in this lecture we get the support of different resources like Campbell Biology, that is the main fundamental structure and syllabus of our course, another Raven Biology and Byju's, and also we get help from the study.com. So thank you very much for this lecture.